Within. Chapter 1. The Letter. Omari Rhodes had built his life like a well-structured blueprint, clean lines, careful measurements, and no wasted space. At 29, he was already a rising star in healthcare administration, overseeing operational strategy for one of the top hospital systems in Atlanta. His days were filled with executive meetings, efficiency audits, and saving lives in ways that didn't make headlines. He also believed in keeping his life orderly, physically, emotionally, and even romantically. His Buckhead condo was pristine, his suits were pressed to perfection, and his boyfriend Elijah, a trauma therapist with a calming presence and disarming smile, was a kind of partner people prayed for, steady, grounded, and genuine. Omari's adoptive parents had raised him in comfort and love. His mother, a judge, had taught him the value of order and grace. His father, a quiet man who read Baldwin and grilled on Sundays, taught him about strength, not through volume, but through consistency. He never went hungry, never felt unloved. He'd known he was adopted since age 7. The truth had never felt like a wound until that day the letter arrived. The letter arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. It came by private courier, no return address, only his name written in a smooth, unfamiliar hand. The envelope was red, sealed with wax bearing a symbol he didn't recognize. 3 serpents coiled around one another, their jaws locked in an eternal pursuit. Inside, a single sheet of parchment lay, thick and smooth, like skin warmed by the sun. The letter read, "You have been selected for the Paragon Legacy Initiative. Your talents, your vision, and your bloodline mark you for something greater. Ambrosia Creed, CEO, the Paragon Collective." It didn't promise a job, but it did promise answers. Answers to things Omari had long sought. As Omari held the letter, he'd read it 3 times. Something in his chest tightened. He didn't believe in signs, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from the wax seal. After a long moment, he finally tossed the letter onto the counter with the rest of his unopened mail. That night, Elijah sat curled up on the couch, a blanket draped over him, with a documentary humming softly in the background. Omari stood in the kitchen, his focus elsewhere. His eyes kept flicking to the envelope on the coffee table. After a while, Elijah noticed his gaze shifting from the screen to Omari, sensing the tension in the room. Elijah glanced up from the couch, noticing Omari's distracted gaze. "You okay?" he asked, his voice soft but concerned. Omari nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just work." He didn't mention the letter. Not yet. He wasn't sure why, but something deep inside, the same part of him that sometimes dreamed of faces he didn't recognize and woke with a taste of metal in his mouth, whispered that nothing would ever be the same. The next morning, Omari rose before sunrise. He sat at the edge of the bed, watching Elijah sleep, peaceful, bare-chested, one hand curled near his cheek like a child's. Omari hated keeping things from him, but something about this legacy initiative felt too strange, too personal to speak aloud just yet. He needed to see it through first, alone. He scribbled a note on the pad beside the kitchen. Got a call about an opportunity in D.C. Sudden, I know, just a quick trip, back in a few days. Love you. He placed a note under Elijah's favorite mug and poured coffee into a to-go thermos. His hands were steady, but his stomach wasn't. Then he headed out the door. Omari stopped by his parents' home just after 7 a.m. His father answered the door, still in a robe, brows raised. "Son, everything all right?" "Yeah, I think so," Omari said. "A work thing came up, out of town, nothing big." His mother stepped into the foyer, hair wrapped, already scrolling through her morning docket. "Where?" "Washington," he lied. "Hospital System Summit." Her eyes flicked up briefly, studying him with that same sharp gaze she'd used in courtrooms and living rooms alike. "Call us when you get in town." "I will," he said. He glanced at his adoptive mother and gave her a brief nod. Then he took one last look at the life he'd built on reason, routine, and resolve. As he walked to his car, pausing for a brief moment outside, then with a deep breath, he slid into the driver's seat, started the engine, and pointed the car toward the black tower rising on the horizon, Paragon HQ. Without hesitation, he drove toward the unknown. He didn't know what he'd find. He didn't know who Ambrosia Creed really was, or why a billion-dollar empire cared about him. But if there were answers waiting, buried beneath wealth, legacy, and lies, he needed them, because something was shifting, and the truth was calling. Thank you for watching The Void Within. This is the end of Chapter 1.